Well, good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Gary Lindner, and thank you for tuning in. Um, we added an extra one of these self-care matter presentations for prime time in the evening. We did this same presentation at 8 a.m. last Thursday, and I had a lot of responses to do it again. I'll give you a little bit about my background before we get started. And I have a doctorate degree in physiology. I've taught, done research at major universities, been in the biotech industry for a number of years as well, before I was introduced to NICEN. So I have been an advocate and a proponent for NICEN for over 18 years. It's a pretty phenomenal company. It's been around for 40 years. And really what it does is it has solutions for many of the things that are bothering us with health. We want to be healthy by choice, not by chance. And why do I say that? Because our chances aren't very good unless we do something about that. If we look at the issues going on, just in the United States, and let me just touch on that for a minute. 1 out of 2 American adults have at least one chronic disease, age 18 and above, and 25% of us have 2 or more. By the time we're 65, 80 to 90% of us have multiple chronic diseases and are on an average of 6 to 8 medications a month to treat and manage those. And in many of the presentations that I give, I talk about how most of those chronic diseases, which are our major expense, it's our biggest cause of death, 7 out of 10 deaths, are preventable. And I think one way we can do that is really take a look at self-care. Self-care is an active process through which people become aware of and then make choices toward a healthier life. And I think as a society, we view health as a very difficult thing. As a physiologist, I'm here to tell you it's not that hard. It really is. It's about some really pretty simple choices, and we're going to go through some of these. NICEN is a very, very unique company. The way we provide self-care is through what we call a NICEN Wellness Home. It is a complete self-care solution. We look at things like healthy air, healthy water, healthy sleep, good healthy nutrition, and healthy light. And a lot of times, I think you'd agree with me, these are areas where we get lots of toxic chemicals. They are things that aren't provided to us the way nature intended. They've been altered to a point where they can also affect our health. If you look at these 5 areas, every one of them are vital. And that's the pretty unique thing about NICEN. They studied health and said, here's 5 areas that are vital for life, and we're going to use science to bring it back to people in a way that nature intended it to be. So that is something I can get behind, and like I said, have been behind for 18 years, and absolutely just love chatting with people about this and giving them pretty simple solutions for health, simple choices that they can do. We're going to talk about water, and water's our friend, all right? As this slide shows, it really is. But in chatting with many people, a lot of times people don't understand the importance of water, and we think it's just a beverage choice. Now think about that for a minute. Water is more than just a beverage choice. If we look at it, and I want you to look at it this way. It's our most essential nutrient. Now, isn't that a different mindset, a different perception than just a beverage choice? And it really is. So if you get one thing from this presentation, I want that to stay with you the most, because I think it'll help you with healthy choices. So our bodies are approximately 75% water, and water is key to every bodily function. Our blood's 83% water. Is where we provide through our circulation oxygen, nutrients, the assimilation of those things into our cells. It helps us digest our food. And helps us eliminate things that are metabolic byproducts, or also things that may be a little more man-made or toxic in our environment. It is important for temperature control. And in many of my presentations, I talk about temperature control. It is the one thing our body does that we aren't even aware of, that we expend the most energy in our lifetime doing. Thinking about that, keeping our bodies at 98.6 or 37 degrees. And if we really don't provide it with clean, healthy water, we have a difficult time doing that. We expend more energy keeping our body at 98.6 than we should. So it is very, very important. It is a key to all bodily functions, as I said. And it's, like I said, we're mostly water. I mean, we really are. So 75% of Americans suffer from chronic dehydration. So I think we could pretty much say we choose many things to drink other than water. We make lots of other beverage choices rather than water. And a lot of times those choices are dehydrating us much more than they are providing any good or hydrating us. Failure to drink enough water can lead to fatigue, joint pains, weight gain, headaches, ulcers, high blood pressure, kidney disease, just to name a few. And there's many other factors that can come in there too. If you have symptoms of dehydration, one, increased thirst. You're thirsty all the time. Your mouth's dry. Maybe you have some constipation. Your urine is very concentrated and very low volume and very, very yellow. Bad breath, dry skin, muscle cramps, fever and chills. Food cravings, especially for sweets. The reason for that is that the centers in the brain that tell us we're hydrated or tell us we're hungry are very close to each other physically. And sometimes we're really craving food or some sweets or carbohydrates, but really what we are is thirsty. But instead of making that choice for water, we go and eat something, very high caloric food to satisfy that craving. So how much water should we drink every day? That's a good question. And when I'm chatting with people, I always ask them this. Very frequently, I get a response. I asked somebody just about a week ago. I said, how much water are you drinking today? And she said, about a quart. My response was, unless you weigh 64 pounds, you're not drinking near enough water, because we really need to drink about half our body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need to drink about 100 ounces of water, which is the same as about 12 8-ounce cups of water. People respond frequently when I'm talking about this with them and just having a conversation. Gary, I don't like water. And how many times have we heard that? Many times we hear that. I have a hard time drinking water. And I think that really goes back to that fact of our perception of water is that it's a beverage choice. It's not an essential nutrient. And so people say, if somebody's told you need to drink more water, what they usually do is go get a glass of water and guzzle it down. And then they feel, they feel very full. They're sloshy. They don't necessarily maybe like the taste of it. And that's really not the way to drink water. I suggest to people, keep water with you all day long. And keep a healthy water with you all day long and sip on it. Sip on it throughout the day. And what you do is you create a pattern, you create a habit of hydrating yourself. So water's not there really just to guzzle unless you really had a lot of physical activity and you're very, very thirsty. So again, that goes back to the fact that of how we think or what our perceptions of water really are. So we are very lucky in the U.S. or in North America, if you will, to have lots of water choices. We have tap water, we have filtered water, which includes reverse osmosis water. There is bottled water, there's well water, and in many places I've been in the world, this is not a a choice for them. You know, there's a lot of times people in certain countries spend a third of their waking day either boiling or treating water to get rid of pathogens that might, you know, affect them with serious illnesses. So we are very, very lucky here, and we do have these choices. But are these choices healthy? That's what we have to ask. All right. So let's look at a couple of these choices. Let's look at tap water. Many people don't choose tap water because of the way it either smells, looks, or tastes. And they say, oh, I don't want to drink that. It smells funny or it looks funny. You know, but it's, you know, we have municipal systems that add chemicals to water, specifically chlorine, chloramine, to kill pathogens. And that's a good thing. But there's a counter side to that as well, is that when those halides are added to water and react with organic material, they produce some very toxic substances. And what we really are, in addition to the ones on this list, the ones I think we need to be concerned about are what we call volatile organic compounds, the VOCs, trichloroethylene, trihalomethane. And these are byproducts of chlorination of water when it reacts with organic material. And that's just a chemical reaction that happens when that water is treated. And there is a lot, and I would invite anybody to do a little research on this, of the health ramifications of some of these compounds in our tap water. Recently, the Water Quality Association announced that there's pharmaceutical compounds in our tap water. Now, why? Well, maybe it goes to the fact that we fill 4.3 billion prescriptions a year in this country. And those are taken and then utilized in the body and then eliminated. It's not all absorbed and ends up in the tap water. Many people will say they're in such small amounts, don't worry about them. I've actually had to tell people say, Gary, don't worry about it. They're in such small amounts. Parts per million, parts per billion. And those are very small amounts. But I'll throw this out there to everybody tonight. One of the most effective pharmaceutical compounds we've ever used in our society works at part per billions, and that's a birth control pill. I mean, it's very effective of 99.9 some percent effective in eliminate, or at least helping to stop one of our most natural biological processes, which is pregnancy. But it works at parts per billion. Many other pharmaceutical drugs work in those small amounts as well. So with this fact, I think a valid question might be, next time you go to the pharmacist, ask them this question: will this prescription interact with the meds already in my drinking water? And it is a valid question. It really is, because we really don't know what the ramifications of that may be with what prescription somebody is already on and what that interaction could be, you know, for that individual or that person. So bottled water is a very popular choice, as you can see from these figures. 11 billion gallons consumed in 2014 at a cost of $14 billion. And that is a wholesale cost. That's not a retail cost that we pay for it in stores. It works out to about $1.26 per gallon, I do believe. 75% of Americans drink bottled water, and 1 out of 5, or 20%, drink only bottled water. So it is very popular because it's mostly very convenient. And a lot of times people perceive that it is a healthier choice. But I think we have to look at that as well. It is a very poorly regulated industry. There is one person in the FDA to regulate that $14 billion industry. Now, if you think she has enough time and energy to do that, and she has other jobs as well, chances are she probably doesn't. You know, a lot of bottled water, they tell us it comes from a natural spring or whatever, you know, the mountain springs, artesian wells, but most of it's tap water. It's tap water that's collected, then filtered, then stuck in this bottle. Very often, tap water loses, or bottled water loses when compared with tap water in blind taste tests. So really, it maybe doesn't really taste all that much better. It's a psychological effect of that. The plastic bottles are linked to many health concerns. The BPA's in there, in my opinion, again, as a physiologist, this is probably one of the most harmful compounds ever introduced to our society. I don't think we've even come close to seeing the ramifications of it. We've already seen things with different types of cancer, for infertility, reproductive issues. A lot has to do with the way that structure of that compound is, when it looks very similar to a steroid compound in structure. The Environmental Working Group tested 10 brands of bottled water and found they contain 38 pollutants, everything from fertilizers to industrial chemicals and detergents. Really, we don't want to be drinking that. And bottled water is very expensive. We may not perceive it when we pay $1.50 for a bottle, or whatever we pay 30 cents a gallon to fill up a 5-gallon jug, whatever it might be, but it's 2,000 times more expensive than tap water. So let me put that in perspective. I'll give you an analogy. Let's say I'm going to a sandwich shop and we have a $6 sandwich in that sandwich shop. It's like me paying $12,000 for that sandwich. Would I ever do that? No. Would any of us ever do that? No, we wouldn't do that. And that's, again, that gives us a little different perception of what the expense of bottled water really is. The expense of it to our environmental and ecological issues is huge. There's 35 million barrels of oil are used to manufacture and transport bottled water. We use 3-to-1 ratio, 3 gallons or 3 liters of water to produce 1 drinkable liter or gallon of bottled water. And we all recycle, don't we? Well, statistics tell us we don't. Only 1 out of 5 bottles are recycled. 80% of them end up in landfills or in the ocean. There are 9 million football fields worth of plastic in our oceans, about the size of the state of Texas. And I don't find that acceptable. I really don't. So if we look at all of the water choices we listed earlier, and we list some of the properties or characteristics of those, virtually most of them are very acidic, okay? And we would want to have a more alkaline water. A healthy water would be more alkaline. There's no minerals in them. We want minerals in our water. That's the way our body absorbs water into the cells, by moving minerals across the cell membrane. If there are no minerals in that water, where do we have to get the minerals from? From inside our cell to take outside the cell, to then bring them back in and bring the water in. And as you might surmise, what a wasted, expensive energy doing that. And we're also counteracting the balance of minerals intercellularly, or inside our cells. 15% of us drink and have well water, which does have minerals. But my question is, which minerals and what concentration? If you wanted to use an example for that, if you're on well water, take a look at what it does to the pipes in your home. Pretty much not usually a very healthy pipes in your home mean probably not very healthy pipes in your body as well. Would be that the analogy I would give. So with these choices, I would say these are not healthy choices. So if we were looking for a healthy water, what type of characteristics would we want to see in it? And what type of system would we have to do that? So we'd want to have some advanced filtration, and we'd want to have that validated third party, at least with the ANSI NSF standards of 42, which are aesthetic standards, and then 53, which means it's taking out many of those harmful compounds, and have that validated. We would want to have an alkaline water somewhere between 8.5 to 9.5 to help counteract the acidity and the acid buildup throughout our days, whether it's through food or just basic metabolic processes. We'd want to add minerals back to that water the way nature intended, and we want to add them back the way they would be in a healthy choice in that water. We want to provide some energy to that water. We want to microcluster, make it very more absorbable, let it carry more oxygen so it has better way to oxygenate our body. If we were looking at a system to produce this type of water the way nature intended, we would want it to be cost effective. We want it to be easy to use and easy to maintain. There's many systems out there that aren't. They're very expensive. They're very costly for replacement filters. A lot of times people say, wow, I have a filter in my refrigerator. Well, pretty much it's just a aesthetic filter, but you're usually paying $75 or $80 for that filter. And don't think the big manufacturers of refrigerators don't know that too. It's much the same analogy. And I have a brother-in-law that works for GE, and here's the way he put it for me. He said it's the same analogy as going to buy a printer for your computer, which you can buy very, very with not a lot of expense. But where do you make most of the money? In the replacement cartridges. So same analogy applies to refrigerator filters there, I think, too. So this is what Niken's choice is for healthy water. We call it the waterfall. It's a very, very cool product. This product produces, in my opinion, the healthiest water on the planet. I don't think we could find healthier water. It basically, you put tap water in it, takes all the bad stuff out, puts back into the things that we want in healthy water. I showed this system to my father, who spent most of his life in the water quality business and association. And he said, son, this is what we have always wanted, a system to take all the bad things out and then put the good things back in to make a healthy water. And for a number of years, he was a huge proponent of the way Niken addresses water with our waterfall and our on-the-go sport bottle there. So this is a really simple, cost-effective unit. It's very easy to maintain. The people just love it. I love it. I know my family loves it. My kids virtually drink nothing but this water. We used to go out, and I would have a nephew every time we'd go to a restaurant. The waitress would come for his beverage choice, and he would say, do you have Niken water? And she'd go, no, we don't. And he would sit and explain really how great this water is and how much he loved it. So that was usually very cute when we went out to dinner. So just an awesome, awesome unit, but also very cost effective. Now take a look at this. Again, 2,000 times more than tap water for bottled water. Basically this unit, and that's a 5-year investment in that first column, in the orange column. And this is based on a family of 4 drinking an average of 8 12-ounce glasses a day for about 1,056 gallons. And that's with filter replacements, and the investment in water there is very, very, very small compared to what you might have in bottled water. If we compare that with the yellow cost analysis with Alhambra or Culligan, basically over a 5-year period, you're saving over $7,000. Now that's quite a bit of money. I would put it this way: that's enough money for investment pretty much in virtually everything Niken has in a whole home too, if you should like to make that choice. Are you showering in tap water? What's the problem? Well, one, it's a huge source of chloroform in the homes, according to Lance Wallace, Dr. Lance Wallace from the EPA. Also, I had to use this picture. That's Janet Leigh in Psycho. That's probably the best scream on film that was ever done. So, but our pores are open. That water's warm. We're absorbing all the chlorine and all those other toxic chemicals. It's getting into our lungs. It's affecting our lungs very, very quickly as far as how we can absorb oxygen in our lungs. It's not something we would really, really want to do, but I would also say it's something most people don't even consider or think about. And so we always want to have that conversation and ask, are you showering in tap water? And give them a healthy choice. And it's called the Niken Microjet. This is probably the one product I get people, the quickest testimonials from people with. It's, in other words, they take a shower in the morning and they go, they call me up and say, "Man, that shower's awesome. I didn't even want to get out of the shower." And that happens all the time. We put, and here's a technical term, we put gazillions, and I mean gazillions of bubbles into that water. And what that does is increase the surface area, so it's more cleansing. It feels softer. Very, very refreshing shower. So I always, when I'm talking to people about water, talk about what kind of water they're bathing in as well. So for water on the go, we have the Nikon Sports Bottle. I'm virtually taking this with me everywhere. I keep it with me all day long. I'm constantly sipping water from it to keep my body hydrated. It's a very cost-effective, very environmentally friendly choice. There's 1 year's worth of bottled water for one individual compared to the bottle that Nikon has. A lot of people say, well, that's a plastic bottle too. But it's a very special bottle. It is environmentally safe. It will actually degrade in a landfill within a year's period of time, unlike the plastic bottles that come in most bottled water, which won't degrade in 1,000 years. So, great for the environment, healthier water, great for your wallet, and just say no to bottled water. I really do think it is a very successfully marketed product. Not a healthy choice, not a healthy choice for our planet, not a healthy choice for our descendants. This is the first year, 2016 is going to be the first year when bottled water exceeds sales of soft drinks. And the soft drink companies are very happy about that because they own most of the bottled water companies. So that was something they anticipated with our society some years ago, looking for a healthier water. And so they started the bottled water and marketed it very, very successfully. Great picture here, and I'll give a big hurrah to Sparks Johnson for putting this together. It says everything. Great water on the go, especially if you're active, if you want to stay healthy. And I always like that we can give people choices. Let's say somebody who couldn't afford, or at this point in time didn't have the money for $249, which is a great price for that waterfall, the home unit, but we can give them a choice for $49 for the water bottle. And that's the other beautiful thing about Nikon is we can give people choices for a healthier life. Our body's 75% water. And I'm going to say this, and I say it all the time, doesn't it just make common sense to give your body the healthiest water possible? Don't let your body be the filter. Let your body utilize that water to help keep you healthy like it was meant to. This is a slide that shows a number of different problems. And sometimes when I show this, and I have a lot of medical people or health background people in the group that I'm showing it to, I say, what are these symptoms of? And the answers I get are all different types of chronic diseases. And of course, they're saying, yeah, that's indicative of this chronic disease or diabetes, and the list goes, fibromyalgia, and the list goes on and on and on. But they are also symptoms of dehydration. How many times in these 4.3 billion prescriptions that we fill every year, it's just simply not drinking enough water and not having the right choice for water? I would say probably quite a few. So I invite you to become a registered customer. It's simple, it's easy. You have access to great self-care information. You have the direct ability to order Nikon products. You have first access to new products and specials. You can do that. It's a very simple, go to the web page to whoever invited you on this presentation this evening. Make a choice for some healthy water. People ask me all the time, Dr. Gary, what's the one thing I can do to improve my health? And my response is, and always is, change the water you're putting in your body. And again, just from that common sense standpoint that we're 75% water. You can enjoy the benefits of the Nikon products and help start creating your wellness home through self-care, so you can be healthy by choice, not by chance. some coming attractions tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I will be talking about sleep matters. And then the following Wednesday, I will repeat that presentation so that anybody listening to it, if you have some people that are having some sleep issues or want to learn more about how to sleep or how important it is for our health and make healthier choices towards sleep, you can invite them to the second broadcast of that next Wednesday. So please join us. This has been Water Matters, and I don't think we have any other presentations after us, so I'm going to invite a couple people, and Randy, you can start if you want, just quick testimonials on how much you love the water.
Sure, yes. Well, I actually have Lincoln's first water system, and I got the new one so I could show people it's cheaper and easier and gravity feed and even better than the original. And it's just so wonderful to make it so available to people through this waterfall. And it's rightly named. It does all the wonderful things that nature does for the best water. I love it.
Well, it does. And let me add this too, because I'll ask you this question. How many times have you seen people with headache problems, joint problems, digestion problems, and the list can go on and on, where you've recommended they make this healthy choice with Nikan and Waterfall, that those problems just kind of go away?
I had a lady who actually collapsed in a networking meeting, and I asked what's wrong, and I talked to her chiropractor actually, because he said she's dehydrated, and I said, well, why don't you drink water? You could drink the best water from Nikan. And she said, I hate water. I only drink diet soda. Yeah. And the chiropractor said she's going to die. Yeah. And so I took her gallons of water. I took her to give her 2 gallons of water. She called me the next day and she said, I haven't peed yet. All of it went into her body. It was amazing. And her chiropractor told me that I'd saved her life.
Awesome.
That's what we do with Nikan. I got goosebumps all over again.
Doesn't that just make you feel good?
Sure does.
So anyways, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight.